Good evening, YouTube, and welcome back to Paisano's Music and Vinyl Talk. I am your host, Paisano. As you can see, my co-host tonight is a space heater. Genevieve is out of town. All you Genevieve fans, I'm sure she'll be back on Monday night for the album draw. But it is cold. Cold where we are. Winter, winter, winter is no joke. All right, let's talk about Traffic and John Barleycorn Must Die. John Barleycorn is a English folk song that supposedly has between 100 and 140 different verses, all denouncing whiskey and giving up whiskey. I don't know why Traffic decided to center the album around this particular song, but this was intended to be, from what I understand, a Steve Winwood solo project after Blind Faith, but he ended up getting Chris Wood, who was saxophone and woodwind, all-around woodwind instrument player, and Jim Capaldi, the drummer. They, turned up one after the other, and they became a three-piece. They were a four-piece for their first two albums, Dear Mr. Fantasy, which I reviewed earlier in the channel, and the self-titled Traffic, which I also reviewed earlier in the channel. If you're interested, go check them out. But Dave Mason, the guitar player, was gone by this point, and Steve Winwood handled guitar duty. Steve Winwood was a tremendous all-around musician. He could play organ, he could play bass, he could play acoustic guitar, electric guitar, and he was one of the greatest vocalists in popular music history. Like I said, after the first couple of Traffic albums, Last Exit, I'm not sure if that was a half studio, half live. I'm not sure if that came before or after Steve Winwood's time with Blind Faith, which was the supergroup he helped form, and was a member of for one album and one tour in 69 and 70. He teamed up with Eric Clapton, Rick Gretsch from the group Family, and Ginger Baker from Cream to form a supergroup of sorts. And they made one very good album, and they did a tour that I don't think did so well. So he went back to doing what he knows best, and that's Traffic in the 70s. He became quite a successful solo artist in the 80s as well. Steve Winwood was easily one of the most talented rock performers. Let's go over before we do that, let's talk about subscriptions. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We talk about rock and roll here. And if you've been watching for some time and not yet subscribed, please do. Please, please, please stop leeching off my extensive musical knowledge and hit subscribe. I love subscriptions and I love comments. Please keep them coming. That being said, let's go over the track listing. Side 1, Glad, Freedom Rider, and Empty Pages. Now, all three of those songs used to be heard on the classic rock stations. I think I think Freedom Rider and Empty Pages are heard every day still in the classic rock. Not sure about Glad. Glad's an instrumental. Kicks off the album. These songs were borderline jazzy, like jazz rock. I've heard that term used to describe these. But side 2 is the songs are much lesser known than the ones on side 1. Stranger to Himself, John Barleycorn, which is a vocal duet with Steve Winwood and the drummer Jim Capaldi. They both have extremely different voices, but they blend nicely, and it's a reading of one of the versions of the John Barleycorn Old English folk tune. And it ends with a song called Every Mother's Son, which is the longest song on the album. It features a very good guitar work by Steve Winwood. And from what I understand, Stranger to Himself and Every Mother's Son were just done with Steve Winwood and Jim Capaldi. Chris Wood hadn't rejoined the band yet. But Chris Wood was there for all of side one and plays the flute on John Barleycorn. This is produced by Chris Blackwell, owner of Island Records, and Steve Winwood. Recorded at Island Studios in London. Very British group, Traffic was. Very British. That's the back. It's got a little story about the song John Barleycorn. The back, let's stick with the vinyl. Classic Island label. It's a reissue, obviously. The album came out in 1970. I've owned it since the 80s. And I kind of, when I did the album draw, I seemed like I was kind of dreading it. Once I listened to it, I was like, a pretty good album. Not bad at all. Considered one of their best, if not the best, by Traffic aficionados, which I am not. But I do own some of their albums, and I hope to pick up the one, I think it came after this, Low Spark of High-Heeled Boys. I'd like to pick that up on vinyl. Maybe I'll look for that. Alright, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Tune in Monday night. We will give the Pittsburgh Pirates hat a little shakeroo. And we'll draw another album. Alright, so join me on Monday night. We'll draw another album. And the album review will be on February 8th. Today's the 1st of February. Man, time is flying. 2025 is off to a flying start, people. Alright, be good to each other out there, please. Please. And see you guys Monday night. Thank you and good night, you too.